The Bell Witch haunting, one of the most infamous paranormal cases in American history, took place between 1817 and 1821 in Adams, Tennessee. What began as strange noises in a humble farmhouse soon escalated into years of terrifying torment, physical attacks, prophetic voices, and a haunting that would be remembered for centuries. John Bell, a respected farmer, lived with his wife Lucy and their children in a sturdy wooden home nestled in the rolling hills of rural Tennessee. They were a hard-working family, bound together by faith, labor, and the struggles of frontier life. Their days were filled with tending the fields, caring for livestock, repairing fences, and keeping the home running. But their life of routine and quiet industry would soon be broken by something no one could have anticipated. It began quietly. A faint knock at the door late at night. A sound dismissed as the settling of the house or the wind moving through the trees. Then more knocks, irregular and deliberate, echoing through the home when no one was there. At first, John and Lucy Bell thought it trivial. But the knocking did not stop. It grew louder, more frequent, and began to follow them from room to room. Soon, the disturbances became physical. Pots and pans would shift without cause. Chairs overturned. Tools disappeared from their places only to reappear elsewhere. These strange occurrences became impossible to ignore. The family began to speak of them openly. Neighbors, hearing of the strange happenings, came to investigate. Many reported hearing the knocks themselves. Some swore they heard voices. The first voice came as a whisper. It was soft, almost teasing, calling Lucy Bell's name in the dark. No one could say where it came from or how it entered the house. The whispers grew stronger with time, becoming words spoken in clear sentences. The voice was intelligent, responsive, and mocking. It began to speak to the family directly, addressing them by name, commenting on their conversations, and repeating details they had never spoken aloud. By late 1817, the disturbances had grown more intense. Lucy Bell began to complain of being slapped, pinched, and scratched by an unseen force. John himself awoke with bruises. Children spoke of being touched while asleep, of hearing footsteps pacing across the floors. The presence in the Bell home had gone from curious to hostile. The spirit gave itself a name, Kate. She spoke clearly, with a tone both taunting and commanding. She mocked the Bells, answered questions, revealed hidden knowledge, and told stories no one could have known. Her voice carried not only into the Bell home, but also into the ears of visitors. Those who came to see the strange events often heard her speak directly to them, addressing them by name, recounting their private thoughts, and even foretelling events before they occurred. Kate's communications grew more deliberate and personal. She seemed fascinated by the family and fixated on them with a disturbing intensity. Her voice would speak hours at a time, answering questions, telling the future, or issuing warnings. She predicted events with chilling accuracy, most notably predicting the death of John Bell himself. By 1818, the story of the Bell Witch had spread across the region. Visitors came to the Bell home from miles away, hoping to witness the phenomena for themselves. Many did. They reported the same disturbances. Knocking sounds, objects moving, voices speaking, strange touches. They brought the story of the Bell Witch to other towns, and the legend began to grow. The haunting became more aggressive. The knocks turned to pounding. The voice of Kate became constant. She spoke with anger and malice, often cursing the Bells. Her attacks grew physical, with slaps and scratches becoming more frequent. The family lived in fear. The home they once knew as a sanctuary had become a place of terror. The Bell Witch was no longer simply a story whispered in the night. She had become a force that could not be ignored, a presence that dominated their lives and seeped into the fabric of their community. The haunting had begun as strange noises, but it was becoming something far more terrifying, a relentless shadow that would not rest. By the winter of 1818, the Bell Witch haunting had grown from strange noises into something far more sinister. The events in the Bell home were no longer occasional disturbances. They had become a constant presence, an unrelenting force that dominated the lives of John and Lucy Bell and their children. The strange voice that had begun softly now spoke often, and with a cruel intelligence. It called itself Kate, and it spoke to everyone who entered the Bell household. Visitors came from neighboring farms and distant towns, drawn by curiosity, fear, or fascination. Many stayed overnight, hoping to witness the phenomena. Some arrived as skeptics, leaving convinced of the presence's reality. They heard the knocking, a deliberate rap that answered questions, followed their speech, and mocked their words. They heard Kate's voice clearly, calling them by name, recounting private matters, and telling things no one could have known. It was not long before the haunting became violent. Kate began to physically assault the Bells. Lucy Bell would awaken to bruises and scratches that appeared without warning. John Bell himself was struck in the face, leaving marks that could not be explained. At night, children screamed of unseen hands pulling them from their beds, of fingers brushing against their skin. Doors opened and slammed with force, objects flew across rooms without cause, and furniture was overturned as if by a raging storm. Kate's voice grew sharper, crueler. She taunted the Bells, insulted them, and mocked their prayers. She told them they could not escape her, that they were bound to her will. Her language was not merely of threat, but of control. She seemed to take pleasure in dominating the family, in breaking their spirits. The voice predicted events, some trivial, others chillingly specific. She named illnesses before they came, revealed secrets of visitors before they spoke them, and foretold deaths that would come to pass. The most terrible of these predictions concerned John Bell himself. Kate spoke of his demise repeatedly, saying it would come in her hands. She told Lucy and the children that his time was short and that his death would be a testament to her power. Though many dismissed such words as coincidence, the family lived with a growing dread that Kate's prophecy would come true. The community around Adams became fascinated and fearful of the Bell Witch. Neighbors spoke of the events in hushed tones. People traveled for miles to witness the haunting. Among them were ministers, skeptics, scholars, and the curious. All reported similar experiences: strange knocks, voices calling their names, objects moving without touch, sudden drops in temperature, and feelings of an oppressive presence in the home. Several visitors recorded conversations with Kate. She spoke freely, often answering questions about herself and her origins. She claimed to have been wronged in life and that her spirit was bound to the land. She expressed anger toward John Bell, accusing him of some hidden offense. She claimed to have been wronged by him and declared her intent to torment him and his family until the debt was paid. The truth of her claim was never established, but the accusations added a layer of mystery to her haunting. The phenomena grew in scope. Kate began to appear to those who came to the Bell home. Some saw a dark shadow moving in the corner of a room. Others glimpsed a shape at the edge of candlelight. Some visitors swore they saw a figure standing at the foot of their bed. Yet no one ever captured her fully, and she remained unseen in complete form. The intensity of the haunting seemed to peak between 1819 and 1820. The Bell household became a place of dread. Kate's voice was constant. Her insults and threats became more personalized and vicious. She mocked the children by name, cursed them, and ridiculed their prayers. She slapped and pinched them and sometimes spoke directly to their fears. The family lived in constant unrest. Sleep became dangerous, for at night she was strongest. Neighbors began to speak openly of the Bell Witch. Her story spread across Tennessee and beyond, becoming one of the most talked about mysteries of the age. People came to the Bell farm seeking answers, bringing with them questions of faith, science, and the supernatural. Ministers prayed at the house. Visitors tried to speak to her. Yet Kate answered none of them fully, always twisting her speech into riddles or sarcastic remarks. The haunting was not limited to sounds and violence. Kate spoke of hidden truths, of events that had yet to occur. She made predictions that would later be remembered as chillingly accurate. One of her most infamous predictions was her prophecy of John Bell's death. Over months, she repeated it with increasing certainty, telling Lucy Bell that the end was near. John Bell himself was not immune to her torment. The blows he suffered left bruises and swellings. She mocked his authority, his faith, and his attempts to protect his family. He grew weaker over time, not only from illness but from exhaustion and fear. His nights became sleepless, filled with the sounds of knocks, whispers, and unseen attacks. His days became dominated by the effort to protect his home and family. By late 1820, the Bell Witch had become more than a haunting. She had become a presence woven into every aspect of their lives. Kate's voice could be heard anywhere in the house, in the kitchen, the bedrooms, even outside. She mocked the very idea of escape. She declared that she would follow them beyond the grave. Her words were not idle threats. They were promises she seemed determined to fulfill. Her voice grew louder, more certain. She spoke of the Bell family's fate with a clarity that terrified those who heard her. As winter deepened in 1820, John Bell fell ill. The family believed that Kate had begun to claim her victory. The prediction she had spoken for years seemed to draw closer. On December 20th of that year, John Bell lay in his bed, unable to rise. Friends and neighbors gathered, aware of the prophecy. Many listened as Kate's voice spoke once again, declaring that his time had come. John Bell died that night. Whether from sickness or something beyond understanding, none could say for certain. But Kate's words had proven true. Her prophecy was fulfilled, and with his death, the haunting did not end. It only changed. The Bell Witch had achieved her ultimate aim. Her presence remained. She continued to speak to Lucy and the children, to visitors who came after. Her voice became part of the history of the place. The Bell homestead became a name whispered in fear and curiosity, a place where the living and the spirit world had met in terror. By the time her activity began to fade in the years that followed, the Bell Witch had become legend. Her story was told across Tennessee, recorded in journals, letters, and court documents. Scholars and folklorists would later debate her existence. Was she a spirit bound by vengeance? A psychological phenomenon? A clever hoax? The truth remains unknown. The events at the Bell homestead stand as one of the most detailed and documented hauntings in history. They remain a chilling reminder that some forces, whether natural or supernatural, are beyond human understanding.